Good evening and welcome to the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com/iHeart radio station. We have a great show planned for you today, but first the forecast from our IntellectualRadio.com weather center today. Cloudy and mild with a chance of thunderstorms. Some may be severe, high 53 degrees. Tonight, cloudy with a couple of showers and thunderstorms again. Some may be severe. The temps will dip, turning the rain into snow. Therefore, you will have sleet on your way home. Low 33 degrees. Tomorrow, morning snow comes to a stop, still cloudy and breezy. A little cooler, high 37 degrees. Tomorrow night, cloudy, low 24 degrees. Wednesday, partly sunny, high 33 degrees. On Thursday, again, partly sunny and warm, high 43 degrees. And on Friday, sunshine and warm, high 53 degrees. It feels like March to early April out there, so it's like, wow, this week. The Drive at 5 is also part of the new Monday night lineup, starting with a new show called 40 Shades of Business Growth. Policy Matters with Jerry Brown at 6 p.m. New Black Leadership at 7 p.m. Black Community Unity at 8 p.m. 9 p.m. Chronicles of Rom. And the Mic Up at 10 p.m. Also, the Drive at 5 is also part of the fabulous 5 at 5, only on IntellectualRadio.com. Today, my guest is a motivational speaker, author, strategist, and television personality, should we call you that? Host Dwayne Bryant to my left, and executive producer of No Chirac, Roger Jackson. Welcome to the Drive, fellas.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great to be here.
You got that night moves voice going on there. Please give IntellectualRadio.com/iHeart radio station your background.
Sure. My name is Dwayne Bryant. Graduated from high school with a full academic scholarship. Graduated from college, finance and international business degree, minor in Spanish, and worked the corporate world, Johnson & Johnson, for about 8 years. Resigned, started my own business in 1997. My business is to motivate, educate, and inspire individuals to achieve their maximum potential. We've mentored and motivated over 17,000 youth within Chicagoland, and so that's some of the work that I do.
That's beautiful. I don't know where I want to come after that, bro.
Oh, man. Hey, trust me, yours is more exciting.
No, actually, it's very, very similar. Actually, I graduated from Morehouse College. Actually was pre-med, got accepted to medical school,
nice.
And then decided to do the corporate route instead. Did about 15 years there, walked away from corporate and started my own company.
There you go.
Excuse me. Started acting. Started acting, and then got a call from William Pierce, the creator of No Chirac, and joined him and Noel Ockerman, my other business partner, and Dr. Okanta Jackson, when we created independent network television. And so now we not only produced No Chirac, but also work with the Eye to bring on other independent filmmakers.
Very nice.
Explain that a little bit. You said the Eye.
Yeah, the Eye is a network, the-i.tv. And so independent filmmakers and creators can actually submit their work there, because independent filmmakers don't really have difficulty making quality work. I mean, with technology today, you can actually make very good quality projects. Mm-hmm. The difficulty is getting distribution. And so the challenge is to get them beyond I have a project, let me rent out a theater, have a premiere, and then put it on the shelf. And then do another project, rent out a theater, do a premiere, and then put it on the shelf. So we want to give them a place where they can actually distribute it and have it there where anybody in the world can see it.
Nice.
Define No Chirac and what it means to you.
He has to define that.
Well, the reason why is everybody has that meaning of Chirac, sure, and Chirac, Chicago, right, and how that term comes together. So I wanted to know, define it,
I see what you're saying. Okay, from
and
that standpoint.
what it means to you.
Sure. Well, No Chirac simply means that, first of all, Iraq. Thousands of people getting killed and murdered. Chirac, Chicago, Iraq, because more black boys and black men have been killed in Chicago than it was during that war in Iraq. So I understand the term Chirac. But the No Chirac, I would have to assume it means that we're not a murderous people. We don't disregard life. We don't disregard humanity and things of that nature on the street. So yes, the murder rate is extremely too high. We all can see that. We all understand that. However, I believe No Chirac is simply saying we have men, we have women in this community, African-American people of color, who care about themselves, who care about their history, their culture, their family, their people, and that we're not going to continue this legacy of violence. That's what I would assume that it means.
Yes, actually, he hit it right on the head. For me, branding is everything. And it's very hard to unbrand something. So once that term came out, it's like people all over the world just started referring to Chicago as Chirac. And then you try to pull it back. And then, of course, once it's out there and they say that, trying to pull it back, they start quoting statistics at you and everything else. and the statistics are how you make them. I used to tell people back in the 90s, and of course, you guys are way too young to remember this, but it was always, there are more black men in jail than there are in college. And that was a false statement. Correct. Because the truth was, if you took the age from 17 to 21, when you're in college, there were more black men in college than there were in jail. But nobody ever said that. It was just that more black men in jail than there were in college. They up to 90 years old. So that trying to unbrand that. So what we're trying to do with the project was let people know, hey, we're going to show you, yes, there are some things that are happening, but you need to understand the dynamics of why they happen. So we go into the politics involved, as well as the individuals. I mean, you're going to see that some of the individuals that are handling this, that are in the streets, have real lives. They have real emotions. You're going to see different side of them than what is portrayed on television.
So in No Chiracs, you demonstrate some police brutality.
Yes.
Almost like ripped from the headlines type of thing, like another show, Law and Order approach. Describe that to us. It's kind of like there's some parts in there that's like kind of similar to what you see in and read about.
So, it sounds cliche, but the reality is that the main character truly is Chicago, because this is one of the very few shows. We have over 20 speaking roles. So to do this show about Chicago correctly, you just can't focus on one microcosm, one small community. And Chicago, while it's extremely diverse, is extremely segregated as well. But when talking specifically about police brutality, yes, we do show a scene where there's a cop planting a gun on someone or attempting to do that. But you also see the other side. We have two cops in a car arguing. One's for conceal and carry, one's against conceal and carry. I'm of the opinion where, as an individual, I have a lot of cops in my family, police officers and federal agents. But I'm also a black man that has to walk these streets. So there's the dual side of that. And so when we show these characters, we want to show you that, yes, you're going to have this particular individual that you may run across. But there's also brothers in those cars that are really trying to do the right thing, and also the fine line that they are forced to walk. It's easy to say, hey, stand up to all these other cops. Don't get me wrong, I think they should. But the reality is when you get that call and you ask for backup, and there's no backup there because you were the one to speak out. When these guys do that, they do it at the risk of their lives. And of course, if you're a husband and a father, the risk of literally, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make the decision, and hopefully my wife and my children understand that should something happen because of my decision.
From a motivational standpoint of the series, you talk to plenty millennials in grammar school and high school. What is your take on the pulse of what's going on out on the street? Let me give you some statistics, and I'm sorry about that. Over the weekend, 6 people were killed, 29 wounded in shootings across Chicago. So far, 99 people have been shot, and majority are black. Now, if you go to the mayor's office, they're celebrating because it's 46% less. I mean, 46 people less than 2017. What's going on? Because some people do not understand what's going on. You talk to them, you have a series. What's going on?
A lot of people say a lot of different things. A lot of people say it's economics. You can't have crime without economics. The young brothers are not getting jobs. So when you don't have jobs, some people say it's educational, because if you don't have an education, you didn't go to college, you don't have a trade. So therefore, what do? You have to resort to a life of illegal activity. I think it's all of that. I also think it's even bigger than that. I think it's a lack of self-love. and a lack of self-knowledge. Once you know who you are, you don't destroy yourself. Once I know this is a king right here, this is a man of God, I don't go to kill him, even though he stepped on my shoe or made a mistake and did something or whatever. So I think in Chicago, like many other places, there's a lack of self-love that we have here. Just getting back from Ghana and being over there with the brothers and sisters and just feeling that love over there, we don't have that here. Now we have it generally, well, some of us have it, but generally speaking and collectively speaking, that sense of Black consciousness, I think, is missing. And once we get that, we can, forego a lot of the stuff that we see in the streets.
You said something that was key, that a lot of millennials don't know who they are. Why?
Oh, simple. Parents are not teaching. I mean, I hear parents, because remember, my focus has been 4th grade through 12th grade. I've heard parents tell me, well, I don't want to teach my child a history because it's painful. It hurts me to even think about it. It makes me mad. I'm like, you know what? That's one of the most ignorant things I've ever heard. Every intelligent group of people teach their history. Every intelligent group of people want their children to know the struggle, the sacrifices, as well as the triumphs. But for some reason, we don't look at it as just that struggle, sacrifice, and triumph. So I believe if our parents did their jobs better, then our students will become better, because I work directly with the young people. So I see exactly when the kids are acting crazy, when I meet their parents, like, oh, that makes sense. This is how their mother and their father, or their mother act, or the absence of the father in the home. So it's all a direct reflection of, our lack of collective consciousness. Just in the 60s, we were working together. Black men, Black women, we were loving each other. We were unified. We were together. 70s, things began to break up. 80s, we got cracked. So the whole family begins to disintegrate. But, a lot of that goes back to self-love.
Kids are raising kids.
Mm-hmm. And grandkids are raising grandkids, and they're tired.
Tired of what?
They're tired. They've raised a generation already. They've raised their kids. Now their kids did not do what they should have done. So now the grandparents have to step in and now raising grandkids. They don't know about social media. They don't know about a lot of the stuff that the kids are doing every single day, all day. So they just want them to sit down and be quiet. They don't understand, all the nuances into being proactive parents today. So we're losing. As a Black community, we are losing.
How can we turn that negative into a positive?
Sure. I think we have to understand, you have to make it like a collective, like a net, right? So no longer, some people say we need one-on-one mentoring. We don't have enough mentors to do one-on-one mentoring. So the people who know better do better. So therefore, what we do is we have to show. A lot of our young Black boys don't know this brother exists. He don't know you exist. He don't see the producer, the Black brother back there. He don't see the other Black brother over there. He don't see the sister over there. Educated professionals doing positive things. But what they see in the community are guys. See, here's a double hustle. So some of these guys have sold drugs. They went to prison. They've been locked up for 10 years. They're complete, no positive impact on our society. So now they're out, they got a new hustle now. Maybe I can go talk to these young folk, and tell them my story. Man, shut up. You done all this wrong stuff. You done created all this wrong in the neighborhood. Now you want to come back and your new hustle is, I'm going to go talk to the kids and mentor the kids. Well, what are you going to tell them? Are you going to tell them how to get to college? Are you going to tell them how to go to the military? Are you going to tell them how to be an intelligent citizen? Are you going to tell them how to respect your woman? How can you tell them something that you don't know? You can't lead where you don't go. You can't do what you don't know. So therefore, we need intelligent, quality men and women who have gone this path, who've disciplined themselves, who have results, demonstrated results in this life, to show up in the lives of our young people. Right now, we're not even showing up.
You're in agreement with that?
I am. It's funny he said mentoring, because January was National Mentoring Month. One of the things that we did was we bought out the theater at 87th Street Studio Grill for Black Panther. Nice. And donated the tickets. Wow. And donated all the tickets to about 3 or 4 different nonprofits. And one of the things is, you're right, it's so difficult to do one-on-one mentoring. And even though this isn't necessarily mentoring, but those individuals seeing 4 Black men by the theater to show them another Black superhero means a lot. Mm-hmm. And so while they may not know me directly, they're going to walk away knowing that, hey, I got to see this because these 4 men care.
Absolutely.
And they're going to walk away with that experience. And people don't always remember what you say, they remember what you do. Mm-hmm. Or how you made them feel, I think is what they say. Mm-hmm. So that's what I want them to remember. And of course, we're going to follow up as well. I ran a nonprofit, Victory's Path, for years of my business partner, Damascus Harris, and we did college and career. Yeah. So we did college and career training at high schools, Brownsville Class, a couple of others. And you do have to go in there and talk to them on a regular basis, because we had kids that had literally never been downtown. How you're 16 years old and you haven't gone 2 miles away from your house just to go downtown. It's a fantasy to them. They're disconnected from reality. I mean, they see it in their phones,
Right.
but they've never experienced it. And so that is something that we have to do. We have to walk out and talk to these young people. And it's amazing that they have the technology. They have access to more than we ever had, but they know less about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
A few clicks on the phone through Google or anything else, and you can learn about yourself. You can learn about your history. My family's from Ghana. My parents went back over there to visit a few years ago, which I never would have known about at all in high school, except for what I could find in a book. And of course, it would have been
not much.
Hey, right. It would have been a picture with an animal and a tree and a bush. And
a monkey and Tarzan.
Yeah.
Since you brought it up, it's part of my question. Is the internet raising children?
Yes.
And how parents can curb their children of the internet usage? You're grimacing here. So
well, I just want to talk numbers, right?
Right.
According to Nielsen studies household purchasing habits. They also study what you consume. According to Nielsen, Black households consume 7 hours and 12 minutes of media per day. Whites, 5 hours and 30 minutes of media. Hispanics, 6 hours and about 15 minutes of media. First of all, it's not coincidental that when you look at academic progress, when you look at behavioral progress, consistently across the board, the lowest performers are Black males, period. Then you got Black females, then you got everybody else. So if we turn that TV off, if we get off that social media, if we stop playing so many video games, and I don't say cut it out completely, but if we at least balance it out, at least if you're going to play 3 hours of video games and 2 hours of social media, how about we do only 2 hours of video game and 1 hour of social media and give me an hour and a half of read homework time? Parents are responsible for that. Parents are responsible for setting time management structures in their home, discipline, expectations. But what they do is they allow television to raise their kids, video games to raise their kids, and the stuff our kids are going to, my brother just said a minute ago, you can go get, I just finished watching Marcus Garvey documentary after being in Ghana because he was huge, watching W.E.B. Du Bois documentary because he went to Ghana and Kwame Nkrumah had him there. So I'm like doing all this research and knowledge, but our kids on World Star Hip Hop. So they can still use the same, this could be a weapon or a tool. We're using it as a weapon to make us more ignorant instead of a tool to make us more intelligent and want to learn more about ourselves.
And you have parental guards. A parent, if first of all, the parents are paying the bills, then you can easily put on there, hey, what's the new commercial? Turn off the Wi-Fi, turn off this. Yeah, you're shut down for an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is a day. But the parents aren't parents. They're just older children.
But again, it goes back. Adults are, children are raising children.
Yeah. And the only way to turn that around is so the kids they're growing up fast now. They're not necessarily maturing, but they're growing up faster. But because of technology and other things, you can reach them. And you can get them started on a better path faster. My daughter's 8 years old. All right. She's doing good in school. My wife and I made the decision that, she's home. She's working with my daughter every single day. My daughter, we thought she was doing poorly. My daughter thought she was doing, I'm doing bad because all the other kids seem to be doing smarter. What are you talking about? Like, I think you're doing okay. But then we started worrying. She comes home, she's got 101 on her test. I'm like, well, how'd you do that? Well, I don't know. You know how you did it? Because when you did pick up my phone, on my phone, there's apps for math and science. So all she gets on my phone, if she sees an app that's colorful, it's something for her to learn with. Every game on her tablet is something to learn with. So she's having fun in her mind. But she's also learning. But it starts at such an early age that she doesn't see it that way. When my parents were raising me and my brother, they didn't say, do you want to go to college? They said, what college are you going to? There was an assumption that I was going to college. And so that's how we have to raise our children, that there's an assumption that you're intelligent, the assumption you're going to go to college or wherever you want to. I am a graduate. My brother's a graduate. Both of my parents are graduates. But when Damascus and I were talking to the kids, we understood that you may not have an interest in college. That's fine. Let's find out where you do want to go. A lot of them don't have an
interest because it's not even a conversation in the household. Right. Or they have that uncle that tells them this, man, college ain't for everybody. A lot of these people go to college, they broke, they ain't got no money. So they get discouraged from going.
Yeah, and I tell them, I say, hey, it may not be for everybody, but understand when you remove education, you also remove your opportunities. So college is not for everybody. But when you go down here and you take away college, you also took away about maybe 30% of your opportunities. So you can still succeed without it, but just understand your opportunities are greater with it.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Fine.
Okay. Who's you brothers telling me what to do? I'm making money. maybe more than what you two are put together. I got women, I got side pieces. I'm okay. What you say to that?
I'm so glad you said that. And my grandma would say, rebuke the devil, but true story. In 1996, when I was working for Johnson & Johnson, I was living in St. Louis. I spoke at a high school auditorium full of kids. And this young boy came to me and said, yo, I like your speech, but you're going to be just like every other N that come out here. You talk this pretty talk, and you ain't going to be nowhere to be found. It's better for you not to even show up. So I gave the guy my card, and we talked, had a little exchange. Come to find out, this brother was a 1.5 GPA student, selling drugs, probably might have been making more than I was making at Johnson & Johnson. And so as I began to work with him, he's lived in Echoes Children's Home in St. Louis. So they called and said, hey, yo, Sharon is picking up books for the first time. What are you doing? Can you spend more time with him? So as I was talking to the brother, he said, well, I really want you out with you because the market that you have and the friends you have, if I can sell my drugs to them, then, dude, we can make this thing bigger. I said, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Are you out of your monkey mind? Are you telling me that you think that I'm going to sell drugs for your high school dumb behind self? And I said, let me tell you something, bro. This is how stupid you are. We doing the same things. I sell drugs. He said, what? I said, yeah, but I sell drugs for the biggest drug manufacturer in the world, Johnson & Johnson. I said, study Merck Pharmaceuticals, study our pharmaceuticals. We sell drugs all around the world. I said, the difference is you're going to be dead before I am. I'm going to outlive you. I'm going to have better looking women than you. I'm going to have a home. I'm going to have a car, and I won't have to look over my shoulder. You do sales. I do sales. You do marketing. I do marketing. You do distribution. I do distribution. You do finance. I do finance. But the difference is, how are you doing it? And so as I began to talk to this young brother and show him, I'm a bigger drug dealer than you are, but I'm doing it legally and legit. This brother has graduated from Amstel University. He studied in Ghana as well. He went to graduated from University of Missouri, St. Louis, but he studied at Oxford as well. So a lot of our young people, they just don't have the third option. He is the third option. I'm the third option. You're the third option. The two options they have right now, a lot of them is mom and grandmama talking about go to school, get education, Jesus gonna bless you, but they broke, they ride a CTA bus. So I don't want that life. They got Pookie and Trey, their cousins, saying F education. I can show you how to make a bunch of money. Like you said, they got the women, they got the video games, they got the cars. So they have two options. They don't see brothers like this talking to them, showing them, yo, I drive a Mercedes CLS, but I paid cash for it. Yo, I have this, I have that, but I'm doing it the right way. So they need to see us. We're not talking to them.
Yeah, they need, and also they don't understand that you're already in prison. Because most of these kids, you do all that, but you do it within 3 square blocks.
Correct.
So
and don't own much.
You don't own anything. You don't go more than 3 blocks away from your house, and you don't leave for more than one night because you can't. Because the minute you leave, somebody else is going to take over. So really, you don't have anything but a very, very well-decorated jail cell. And that's it.
In the series, No Chirac, you describe all the angles of what's going on in the streets of Chicago. However, there is more to that. Can you explain that to us?
More to it than...
Yeah, than meets the eye. I know that's a Transformer type of lingo, but it seems like every episode is more. It gets you to think.
Yeah. It does. I'm trying to talk as well without giving away something that somebody may have seen. But yeah, so it is. We try every episode to leave not so much what's going to happen in the next episode, but maybe I need to rewatch this again and see it from a different angle. Like I said, with the officers in the car, you make an immediate assumption in one scene that the white officer is a racist. You know, it's like, hey, you guys have your boys in the hood moment and move on. And then you find out later, oh, he was actually helping Grandpa. He wasn't hurting him. You know, those assumptions that we have. You have the scenes, excuse me. Well, at the beginning, you know, Marshawn, when he gets out of jail, he's been there 10 years, and he's the leader of the Black Hustlers. He sees the gang, and he's like, you know, we did our dirt. There was some things we did, but this, what I'm seeing now, these drive-by, these kids getting killed, this is not what I intended. And now he has a plan to change that. And he realized I just can't go say, hey, this is it, we're not doing anymore. You go to church and you go see your grandmama. He has to change it from within. But the first thing he does is try to pull those guns out of their hands immediately. Because, you know, if I can get the guns out of their hands right now, I can at least stop the immediate killing. And then we'll work on my larger plan to turn this around. You know, people forget that the Keystone Rangers initially were protecting the neighborhood from the police officers. That was their that was their goal. That was what they were there for. things get disrupted later on. That's a whole nother history lesson. But so you have that in the show. We have different parts that we show Chicago, even if the politicians, I think the alderman talks about, hey, you know, I told you when you closed your schools, it was going to be a killing spree. We took all the kids from this neighborhood and this neighborhood, no warning, threw them in the same school. So you have rival gangs there, and they're just supposed to all of a sudden get along. You know, you didn't think that out, or maybe you did think it out.
I was going to say, maybe it was intentional.
Yeah. Because now they got Whole Foods over there.
It goes back to 2000, I believe 2010. Now, a lot of people say it's probably conspiracy theory, but I'm just going to throw it out to you, brothers, and you can jump in. There was a census report that came out probably in 2011. Obama was the president, and it showcased that probably like in 2020 or 2030, we will have Blacks and Hispanics will become the majority and whites the minority. When that hit the news, it was a spike in murders and killings, especially in African American males. Now you see the covers kind of like peeled off the lid a little bit. In Kentucky, just recently, it posted on your Facebook page as well. You posted it. A police officer basically said, if it's a Black male, shoot him. It's out there saying that I don't want a Black man marrying, dating a white woman and procreate interracial. I want to keep my race pure. On the flip side of that, Black males are like, hey, wait a second here. I'm seeing white men taking our sisters away.
Brothers can't say that because they've been dating white women long before. They don't have no ground to stand on.
Now you have this disconnect, so to speak. This flat out, right in your face racism. You showcased on your show. You talk to children that endure white police officers. I didn't do nothing. Put me in handcuffs for the first time. What you say to that?
Man, you just talked about a lot. Well, if they one thing I wrote the book for, because I was doing a workshop at Drake Elementary School, 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, and I asked the students, if you're on the playground playing minding your own business and doing nothing wrong, if a police car drove over, what would you do? And these babies said, run. I was like, yo, wait a minute, why are you gonna run? And they're like, we don't want to get shot, we don't want to get killed, we don't want the police to stop us from going home. So when I began, then a couple months later than that, I had a police encounter that went viral. So I just asked the Lord for wisdom, and he gave me the book to stop, because I've had over 15 police encounters. I've had guns drawn on me, I got a gash in the back of my head, I've never been arrested, never been to jail, and no criminal history. So I'm talking to the young people about how do you navigate is, according to the stats, you know, the percentages are more Black people are being killed and destroyed by police than non-Black people. So then what's happening? Do we have a role in it? And I do realize that we do have a role in it. And that does not reduce and get rid of the responsibility. Police have more responsibility in any encounter because they're trained, they're licensed, they've been sworn in. So I don't, what's the word? I'm forgetting the word, get rid of their responsibility. However, we have a responsibility in tone, word choice, body language as well. And when I say this, a lot of people get upset, but I say that both parties are equally responsible, not equally, but both parties are responsible for the outcome in this police encounter. Now, you may have a situation where you have this officer who's a racist, who is dehumanizing you, don't care what you say, then that's going to be a problem. So what I want to talk to the young people about is how do you increase your probability, not just of going home from a police encounter. I want you to have a great life. I want you to have goals and objectives and graduate high school, go to college, etc. All of that stuff is possible, but we have to have intelligent conversations with the young people about that.
But the officer said, if they're Black,
sure,
shoot them.
Sure. Then there needs to be 100% accountability. Every time a police officer gets out of his or her professional role, it needs to be accountability. This is what we do as a people. Because the police might let us go, we feel good. Woo, he let us go. No, if you curse me out, if you pull me out of my car illegally, if you violated my civil rights, and I need to be looking at your name tag, I need to be looking at your badge, and I need to be filing a complaint. There's this brother in Chicago named Andrew Stroth. He's a cold attorney. He don't play that kind of stuff. So what we do as a people, one, we don't know our rights. A lot of times when I'm talking to the community and I ask them, what are your rights? They barely even know their rights. So they don't even know that they're supposed to get treated with certain human rights, certain civil rights. So therefore, knowing your rights and not tolerating unprofessional behavior. We tolerate that foolishness, which is why they continue to do it. If we did not tolerate it collectively, we would get these officers fired. A lot of these officers need to be fired. Some of them don't even need to be on the force in the first place, like the one that you were just talking about, but we have a responsibility in that.
What are some of the measures we can hold police accountable because the law is on their side? What'd you say to that?
Hold them accountable? I think what he just said, you report them.
Well, let's put it this way. You report them, nothing is being done. You have the FOP, the Fraternal Order of Police, protecting them. They're on desk duty. So you're saying, Dwayne, you're saying, okay, go by the book. But the law is saying something different.
Comes down to voting and laws then.
And I hear what you're saying. Tomorrow they're going to be having at a church saying, I think St. Agatha.
Greater St. John.
It could be the police contract, et cetera. There are a lot of things in the police contract that favors police. You know, Pa, I shot you. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was in fear of my life. So therefore I shot you legally and things of that nature. There are a lot of language in there that is being reviewed that I do believe will be changed, which is a good thing. However, officers are not sworn in to violate my civil rights and my human rights. That's not what they're there for. Sometimes they do that. Officers need better training, but we also need better training as well. We need training to know what are my roles and my responsibilities. What are my rights? And a lot of us, I would say the vast majority of us, we have no clue of that. So what we do as a people is we get emotional. We react to stuff, but we're not proactive. This book, the workbook, the driver's education manual, it's all about being proactive, teaching our young people to be aware, to be alert, and to be on guard before a situation happens. So if that situation happens, they know how to handle it and not just complain and cry about it.
Your thoughts?
They, you know, one of the things that I cringe when I hear it, not that I disagree with you with training, is that it's before training. They should have never been selected.
Correct.
There's a good number of police officers that never, ever should even made it into the academy. And so the selection process is really where you want to start with when it comes to officers. That whole training thing, you train fine. You know, you've made the decision to ignore the training that was there, and then there's no accountability after that. So you need to find better situations for that. And also there need to be different requirements. I believe, I forget who it said, there's more education required to be a hairdresser than a police officer.
14 weeks.
That is insane.
Social varsity.
That in 14 weeks, I have the ability to decide somebody's life. But it takes me longer, yes, true. Longer to decide your hair color if I'm gonna be a beautician or something. But it starts with selection process first. And then of course, what will take time is just culture. You know, you look at what you see on TV and the images that are constantly being portrayed. So you're in that situation where even if you're a black man, you may walk across the street if you see 8 guys walking, coming towards you. Right. I don't know if me and my cousins were pulled over. This when I was maybe 17, 18 years old, just going into a McDonald's. Cops pulled us over, threw us against the car, searched us all. And it took the security guard in the McDonald's to come out and say, what are you doing? It's like, well, they were driving erratically. He's like, these boys? No, not these boys.
Right.
His dad's a doctor. His dad's a police officer. His dad's federal agent. And his dad's got a PhD in engineering. So it ain't these boys.
So let me ask you this. What did y'all do?
Oh, after that, as kids, we did nothing. We went ahead, ordered something, decided to tell our parents like an hour later
that nothing happened.
We were happy to get away alive.
That's my point.
And then when our parents did find out, they were like, hey, who was it? We didn't get any of that information.
Yeah. Because you weren't trained.
Priority was to live.
Proactively prepared.
And, and that's the thing. That you're right, because we're in a state of survival. The goal is just to live. And we even tell the kids that, hey, we just want you to get home alive. When you say that over and over and over again, unfortunately, that's all they want. And it should be, no, I want you to stand up for your rights.
Absolutely.
Be smart about it.
Say that.
but stand up and know who you are.
Yep.
Well, to counter
that's
that,
empowerment versus teaching fear. And parents teach their kids fear. Even when they're young, you see that police over there, if you don't come over here and get right, I'm going to have him arrest you. Wait, hold on a minute. All of that is teaching fear. We have to empower our young people with a better way and a better approach to life.
let me ask this question to you. In your series prompted this question. I ask this question from time to time on the show, and I'm going to ask it on this. Why millennials are so disrespectful towards adults?
I think we covered that in a multitude of ways, in that they weren't raised by adults. There's a so one of the things that's interesting is my mother's one of 15, right? My grandmother adopted 4 more, so it's like 19 of them. And so when my wife came over, the first time meeting everybody, she goes to my grandmother's house. Every Sunday we go over there. So it's like soul food every Sunday at that house. We walk in the door, and I go around and I shake every man's hand. That's what I was taught. You know, my uncle decides to leave, whatever, I sit down. An hour later, my cousin comes in. He's about 10 years younger than me. He comes in, he shakes everybody's hand. He sits down. My uncle comes in, he gets up. Whoever the youngest is gets up, right, and that man sits down.
Yeah.
At 49 years old, when I'm there, when my uncle just walks in the door, if there are no seats and I'm the youngest one there, I get a, hey, uncle, how you doing? Have a seat. So the adults taught us how to be respectful. There are certain things you didn't do or say, not even cussing, you just didn't speak out of turn. When you have that gap, and I believe right around the 80s, crack and all the other stuff, when you have that gap, we have the 15 and 14-year-olds raising children now, then that's when that whole breakdown happened. And because the responsibility was not taught. And it is something that has to be taught. You just automatically know to be respectful. It has to be taught.
Can I add to that too? In addition to what he said so beautifully, our generation, because we were raised tough, we say, well, I ain't gonna be that hard on my kids. My mama was so hard on me, or my dad was so hard on me, so I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna be so strict. Well, guess what? The same level of discipline that you were taught and that was given to you that made you successful, you're robbing your kids of this now. I have a family member. I'm not going to raise my kids this way. Mama was too strict. So her kids can drink in the house. They can party. They can stay out late. Now she wanted to be friends. Now she's trying to be a mama to kids who think that she their friend. It doesn't work so well. So parents have to, again, be parents. You have to instill discipline and guidance and direction in your young people, because when you don't, they grow up looking like they look right now.
Again, I asked this question over and over, and so I'm going to say this again. Is Chicago politician to blame for all this violence?
No, all of it? No.
They're not doing anything.
You know,
They're not.
You can't politic somebody's household. So we all have to bear some responsibility, all. But the politician, it's like saying, is the politician responsible for you not raising your child right? Like he just said, is the politician responsible for you not giving your child morals and values? Is the politician responsible for you not turning off that television and reading to your child? Well, when the politician says we're going to have a 6 o'clock curfew hour, you pissed off because you want to be home with your whatever. And now your kids can't run out in the street. So now you're upset. We can't blame politicians, but everybody, politicians from the mayor down, have a responsibility in it.
I mean, there is a role. Like I said, you close the schools and throw these two in together, you're going to have some issues. So, yeah, you are partially responsible for that, but all of it, I don't place 100% of the blame on anybody.
Drug dealing is so apparent now that at least 1 or 2 households in the Black community are considered drug houses.
50%?
Close to.
I don't believe that.
I doubt it.
You don't?
I don't believe
no.
Where you getting that from,
okay.
Man?
Why our community is turning a blind eye towards the drug houses?
Well, repeat that. Why is the Black community turning a blind eye to the drug houses?
Yes.
They aren't. The Black community is not turning a blind eye to it. And one of the things I'm glad he asked about the statistics is, as I mentioned before, when they talk about the statistics of so many Black men in jail and in college, you have to be wary of where these sources come from. Because you start to believe, it's almost like when the internet first came out, once they read it, dude, I saw it was on the internet. Yeah. For whatever reason, we thought that on a computer meant it was legitimate. And so you have all these facts and Photoshops and everything else. I don't believe that they're complacent in the drug house. Do I believe there are individuals that may be fearful? Yes. On the block or within that house. If, grandmama's the one there, or great grandmama at this point is there. I was 2 years, I worked as a caseworker as well, over in the Woodlawn area. And I sat down, I think it was 4 generations in front of me one time. It was a great grandmama, grandmama, mama, and then the baby. And I said, what's wrong with this picture?
Well, great grandma was 60.
Yeah. It would be issues that old. I mean, but it's not that they're complacent. I think that it really is a situation of, how do I stop this from coming into my household? Individual responsibility. Don't let it come into my household. If I do see it on the block, do something. But you have to understand there's and this is me getting into the gray area of conspiracy theories, though. But when you look at what happens when neighborhoods are overrun with drugs and everybody starts getting arrested and then vacant lots appear and it gets labeled and then the property values plummet. And then you look around, you realize that, hey, there's actually not that much crime here because aren't that many people living here. And then all of a sudden you turn around and this lot's bought up, that lot's bought, that lot's bought. University of Chicago owns all property all the way over to King Drive now. Supposedly that's a hot zone. There are cops on foot patrol over there. But yet the university is still buying up all that property. If it's that bad a neighborhood, why are you buying all that property? You're anticipating that it's going to be available and that it won't be a hot spot for too much longer.
Now, although I disagree with your statistics, I do believe that in some level, I won't say complicit with the drug houses, but we're not adamantly opposed to it because I think part of it is fear. Well, I don't want them shooting up my house. I don't want to get involved because I went to a beat meeting in North Kenwood. There are drug houses in North Kenwood, which is a very nice neighborhood, and people know who the drug dealers are. Let's be for real. These dudes sitting out on their porch all got doggone day long at night, people coming up to the house, walking to the porch and leaving. You know what's going on over there. Let's be real. Well, I don't want to say anything. And the police say, if you don't tell us, we can't patrol. If you don't complain, we cannot. You can make this block so hot with police that every time you see something, if you keep calling, we keep coming and they disappear. So I do believe there are neighborhoods with Black people, professionals and not, elderly and not, where we don't say, yo, dude over there selling drugs because we're afraid. This whole snitch junk, we got that so ridiculous that we will allow 2 people, like your stats say 50%. That's crazy. Let's say if you got 100 houses and you got 5 people selling drugs, that's only 5%. But that 5% can ruin that entire neighborhood because those 95% of the people are sheep. Those 5% are wolves, and those wolves will destroy that whole neighborhood because the 95% of those sheep are not willing to risk themselves, risk their life, risk their reputation, and to do what's necessary to make sure that you don't sell drugs in my neighborhood.
Here's devil's advocate again. My daughter is dating a drug dealer.
I heard about that.
He says, I know you guys are struggling. Let me ease the pain. Let me pay that bill. I know you want cable. No, you want Netflix. That's their end game. You say?
A mature man knows the end result, though. That's their end game, but I know the end game.
But your daughter.
It doesn't matter. She's my daughter. First of all, my daughter won't be with him because his legs would be broken if he sets foot in my house. That'd be the first thing. So I have a zero tolerance for that. Anywhere near my block, even where I live now. I'm in the burbs in Matson, and we have this nice little area where we had a little issue with some guys walking. Oh yeah, it changed. I had to sit out there, and at the time I had a oppressor, which by the way is 165 pounds. If you want to see a pit bull on steroids, get a Presa Canario. So I had that joker out there, but these dudes were walking up down the block, and I'm like, dude, not in this neighborhood, and definitely not on this block. You have to understand at this point I have no fear of protecting my household.
And that's what we gotta have. There's grown men scared of boys. Let me say it again. Grown men are scared of boys. When men stand up, boys sit down. But because the men are not standing, the boys are running the whole neighborhood. In your situation, there are girls who are raised in good households, because I work with them, who they date the drug boys, even though they have a good father in the home, because some kind of way they like the flash, they like the pizzazz. But again, grandma say, rebuke the devil. But for those guys who have the flash, you still got to teach. If parents were teaching morals and values, his daughter knows, I got a daddy who loves me. I got a daddy who's talking to me. So this money you talking about giving me, what you gonna give me my daddy haven't already given me? But if you got those girls, there are so many, who are not getting anything from daddy or love or anything, then that is enticing.
And also, what you see early on, granted when they're teenage and way at school and all that stuff, you really can't police them as much. But my daughter only sees a certain image of Black men and women growing up. So that's the foundation. And when the foundation is solid, there may be, I'm real. She's a teenage girl. She's going to be a teenage girl. She's going to sway left and right a little bit. She's going to try me a little bit. I understand that's going to happen. But I also know her foundation and in the images that I put before her. So she's always going to come back to that.
Train up a child in the way they should go when they get older. They will not.
Another question, how can we curb the violence? How can we curb? You never can prevent violence or stop violence. You only can curb it. How they can curb it?
I think we have to have men not afraid, have to begin to engage with our young people in conversation. Not, look, little brother, you going to do this? No. They need to have real intelligent conversations. So they need to listen to the young people. Why are you picking up this gun? Why do you hate yourself? Because they just don't know. A lot of this stuff is 100% solvable because it's a human problem. So we need to engage. Teal Hardeman did a piece. He came out and talked to some of our kids. He said, we want to get 20,000 Black men, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if that's the solution, but Black men have not been in the home guarding our family and our communities. And when that structure broke down, a lot of evil came into our world. So what we have to do is come back together collectively and stand for our people.
I agree. Whether if Black men go and speak to kids, it can be anybody. Some people think that children won't talk to you if they don't think you're from the neighborhood or this, whatever. My cousin's a federal agent with Homeland Security. He speaks to a lot of kids, and within seconds, he has their respect.
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden, they look at law enforcement and everything completely different. It's just, if we don't show them the path, then they're going to find it somewhere else, and it's going to be a false path. And so we have to be the ones to walk to them. And like you said, it's a conversation. It's not dictation. Correct. Don't get me, I'm a grown man and I'm going to talk to you, but it's a conversation. Yeah. Most of these young boys simply want to be heard first because they're constantly people telling them what you're not going to do. Tell me your story. What are you dealing with? What are you going through? Help me help you. I had the boss tell me all the time, help me help you. Yeah. And once I know where you are and what you need, then I can help you prevent that. Or if I can't do it, I can direct you to the brother that can.
Yeah, they want to know you're real.
All right, we're running out of time. See, that hour just blew by.
Quickly. Yeah. Because you got good people in there.
Describe STOP and how they can get a hold of you and purchase the book.
Sure. The STOP is a few things. I have the book and the workbook that I want parents to begin and teachers with their young people and their students to work with. I have absolutely the visor that I literally go to gas stations and be giving these things away. I've given away thousands to put right in your visor. Gives you the 10-step if you did get pulled over. The latest edition is the driver's education manual. There's a new House bill in Illinois, House Bill 6131, that makes it mandatory for every high school student in driver's education to have a mandatory instruction on police community interaction and involvement. This is absolutely brilliant and beautiful. It has stories, Philando Castile, Michael Bennett, Laquan McDonald, all of those situations are in there. What happened? What could have happened? How do you navigate? There's Q&A in there. South Shore High School just purchased the first group of copies to interact with their young people. If they go to aboutthestop.com, they're able to purchase it there. It's also on Amazon.com. I did the audio book. If they can't read, they can get the audio book. It's on Apple Book. And then this piece right here is brilliant. It's the STOP Challenge. We're going to turn this into an app. But it's to show police and community, not just community. Police have to be responsible as well. The right way and the wrong way. Everyone wants to get home safely, but how do you do that? And once we begin to have these conversations, I guarantee you these fatalities will stop. This is 100% proof positive.
How they can get in contact with you?
They can get in contact with me if they go to DwayneBryant.com. DwayneBryant.com. There's a contact form right there. They can fill it out. Usually I get the emails myself and I respond to them directly.
I'm going to have to talk to you later on because I think some of the nonprofits working with those kids are right about driving age. And we may have to purchase a few of those placards off and give them to everybody that comes up to the theater.
Absolutely.
And I think that'd be good.
And the Intellectual Radio one part of that cut.
Yes,
no,
sir.
I'm just joking. How they could get a hold of you right quick.
You can reach us at info@intvchicago.com if you're a content creator or filmmaker and want to submit something. If you want to just watch some good content or check out No Chirac, you can go to the i.tv, and subscribe.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you,
to
brother.
be continued.
Thank you very,
Sorry
very much.
to hand.
Appreciate it.
Thanks to Earl Winfrey, our executive producer. Wanda behind the scenes. You guys have a good week. Thanks.